My name is Giles Smith, and welcome to our community. Welcome to another episode of Our Community. Today on our show, we're privileged to have Cindy Bostic, a personal life coach. Good morning, how are you doing today?
Good morning, thank you. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much. You know, I wanted a personal life coach to come and talk to our community for several reasons. We've been talking about educating the community, inspiring the community, but let's talk a little bit more about informing the community about some things. And correction, I'm saying inspiring the community about some things, because you said here it inspired me before the show. We've talked about problems in our community. We talk about some solutions, but let's dig deeper into the individual soul. What decisions can you make? I think, you know, we need a personal life coach sometimes to help us. But I want you to tell our audience today, what is a personal life coach?
Okay. As a life coach, I consider myself to be a thinking partner with my clients. And I work with them on where they are today, taking them from where they are today to where they want to go. And frequently, instead of asking the question why, what comes out is why not. You know, life happens. Let's face it, folks lose homes, jobs, relationships, you name it, life happens. And it happens to all of us. And when it does, we have two choices. We can either take on a victim persona, or we can be accountable and take responsibility for our lives. And that's where I come in. I just love helping to point folks in the right direction. When I was in training, in coach training some time ago, I went to Super Coach Academy. Michael Neal.
Coach Academy.
Super Coach Academy in Santa Monica. It's an awesome, awesome school and training. And Michael Neal is an author and founder of that. And he defined coaching, I just think it's beautiful, as the space, we create the space where miracles occur.
Ooh.
And it's so true. I've seen it happen time and time again with my clients.
Well, you said this is your third career, right? Can you
Yeah,
tell us about the
is.
other two?
It is.
How did you get here?
Career. Well, my first career was right out of high school. I went to work for a local defense company in Southern California, and I stayed there for 20-something years in the business and finance department, and I was a senior manager within the company before I made the decision to leave. When my daughter graduated from USC, I said, you know what, I want to do something more aligned with my purpose. You know, I get a company has to make profit and generate cash and all of that, but it was time for a change for me, and I made the decision to get into real estate. And I loved it. I loved it. Loved working with my buyers and sellers because I was able to use some of my past, you know, the analysis part, and then get up close and personal to help others reach their dreams in that way. And then I went to work, well, I ended up managing a real estate company, and a few years ago made the decision to focus on coaching full time. I needed more balance in my life, wanted to spend more time with my family. So that's kind of what got me here. And interestingly enough, along the way, there was coaching. You know, just not life coaching as a career. So.
Well, we on the show so far, we've had a lot of different subjects, a lot of different things that we cover, and we never covered the next piece of it as far as why a person, what else do you do? How do you get to the next level? As you say, stuck, if you will. So I figured we should have a show like this, talking about how to unstick yourself, if you will. So when it comes to that, what kind of people do reach out to a personal life coach?
Boy.
all sorts of
Who
people.
doesn't? Yeah, let me just share with you. Yesterday, I met with a leader of a real estate team, and he's interested in growing his business, and growing his team. He wants to focus on, more income, accountability with his team members, better systems, and I do that kind of work too, in that light. I have worked with, last year for about 6 months, I worked with a beautiful young woman who lived on the East Coast. We never met face to face.
Right.
And she was 34 years old and had a mastectomy because she had breast cancer.
Right.
And her life stopped. She had to deal with treatment and this and that, and I'm just pleased to say she's doing wonderfully right now.
Right.
But there comes a point sometimes when, you need help.
Right.
And the help is out there. Other clients are stuck. They may be in a job that they've lost passion for. They don't know what's next, but they know they're not doing what they want to be doing forever.
Right.
So we work on that. The list goes on and on.
Well, exactly how can a coach help you?
Well, results are going to vary depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a coach to help you professionally, you may find that you have greater gratification in your job. You may make the decision to change jobs.
Right.
Personally, working together could help improve relationships, maybe change some negative behaviors.
It's powerful right there.
Yeah. It's
How
unlimited.
about businesses? You go out to businesses as well and teach teams. Right?
I do, yeah. I've got an awesome product in my toolbox called the Best Year Yet system.
Right.
And the team program is pretty transforming. It's you just get everybody together and decide what the vision is in the next 12 months, and the accountability is high. We meet monthly, and we track performance to goals, and kind of look at that say-do ratio. Are you doing what you
say you're going to do?
Right. That's really key.
So, do you do that with high schools, elementary schools? What are you doing with it?
I've done it with businesses. I have gone into we were talking earlier about a junior high school in South Central LA. There was a team of junior high school kids, and they were going to compete in the academic decathlon.
Right.
And we did a workshop with those kids, those awesome kids, and worked on limiting beliefs and shattering paradigms that weren't serving them. So it again.
Does that happen mostly with children? And this kind of dig into that a little bit. Is it more that a parent or somebody in authority limits their view of how well they can do? Or is it something deep inside them that they decide that I want to be, I call it enlightened. I want to make that decision that I want to go to college, or I want to become a business owner, or is that the enlightenment piece, or is it somebody stifling them? I don't know.
Well, let's face it, as youngsters, we get our input typically from parents, teachers, family, and if that input is not healthy, they wear that. They take that on. They believe that. They believe sometimes, too often, that they are less than the diamond they are.
Right.
So it's educating them on that. Just because you were around a certain environment, as sad as it is sometimes, doesn't mean you have to stay there and buy into it. So some of the work I do is called inside out coaching. Right. And that's what that gets to. That's what that points to, Giles. Inside out. You are a beautifully created human being at your core, regardless of all of the ugliness that may happen to you. And getting in touch with that is powerful and needed.
On our community, we'll be right back. For more information about the CYP, please go to our website at www.thecyp.com. The CYP was started in 2004 and is designed to help educate, inform, and inspire our community. From an offshoot of that, we created the show that you're watching now, Our Community. Welcome, and I hope you are informed, educated, and inspired. Wow, sorry for that small break we took, because this stuff is really powerful. And welcome back to Our Community. And Cindy Bostic is here, kind of giving us some enthusiastic messages on life coaching. You pumping me up, like I was telling you off camera. Put me in, coach, put me in. I want to go out and get it done. That's actually a good thing. But tell me more about what exactly happens in a coaching session.
Well, each relationship with a client can be different. Each session is different. Some of my sessions are over the phone. Others are in person. You know, it kind of depends on what the client wants. And we typically, when I start working with someone, there's intake, if you will, that allows me to get closer and get to know them, a little bit better. And during the coaching session, if I see a coaching moment, I take it. And there are some times when I have to ask permission to turn the flame up a little bit. I will always ask before I do that. You know, it's kind of like, how direct do you want me to be here?
Right.
And when I feel an insight is close from the client, I will, you know, ask for permission to turn it up.
So the focus really is to help the person through a difficult time, or is it an overall change? We talked off camera about the road, the path, when they lost their way, if you will. Is the purpose to get it back on path, or to kind of direct them a whole different way? Or it depends.
All of the above.
Yeah.
It depends. You know, people enter coaching for different reasons. You know, sometimes somebody might be mentally stuck on something and just feel paralyzed about moving forward. Someone else may want to drive their productivity up, make more money. You know, it depends. So the agenda
fluctuates.
Is tailored to each client.
So what's the real difference between a life coach and counseling, if you will?
Counseling and therapy. Okay, typically in therapy, there's a lot of focus on the past, and maybe not so much on accountability. In coaching, we start today, right now, where you are today, and we look at where you want to go. You know, are there dreams out there that you've abandoned? You know, are there issues you're dealing with in your family, with your children, with your marriage? What is it? All of the above. Typically, it's not just one thing.
Right, exactly.
You know, and we just take that and work it through.
You talked before about living somebody else's dream. That's one of the things. Don't live somebody else's dream.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've done it, and...
I've done it.
Yeah. And, you know, let's be real. We all have. And
I think a lot of people in our community find themselves lost. They have the right background. They've done some of the right things. They may have slipped here or there in their life, but they find themselves lost within themselves, if you will. They're living for the day, not for tomorrow. Is that something that you find pretty common, or somebody who just needs an adjustment?
Yes, that's right.
You got any examples about that?
That's being stuck.
So what do you do when somebody finds themselves stuck in business? They started off with a nice job, but they find themselves 10, 15 years later and they're still stuck.
Good question. I worked with a client not long ago who was in that place. Manager in a company, made good money, but was burned out. She was burned out. There was no love, there was no passion. She was just going through the motion and really couldn't see that there was an option, an alternative. And so we talked and we talked, and at the end of the conversation, that was a pretty quick coaching session,
Right.
she realized that, my goodness, I can do a lot of different things. And I think within 3 months, it took her 3 months to find a different position
Right.
within the same company, doing something she loves that frees her time up so that she's got more time for her family. And it was just awesome. It was a breakthrough.
That reminds me of a great book. I know the author is Harvey Coleman. I forgot the name of the book. But it talked about how in life, especially in business, 60% of what we believe, 60% of what we do is measured on how well you do, such as I met my numbers, I'm the best salesperson. But the reality is more like 20%. And the rest of it comes down to basically your exposure to the people in the company and how well you get along with others. Is that what you find out in life coaching
That
as
is
well?
so true. And your numbers and your performance and all of your designations and certifications, that represents just one portion of who you are as a person, you know, and that's why I love whole life coaching. That's why I love the Best Year Yet system, because it causes you to look at the whole of your life and try to achieve a greater balance.
Well, some would say that, you know, do I really need a personal life coach, or can I just do it myself? What would you answer me with that?
That depends. It really depends. There's a thing called there's natural ability that we all have. Mm-hmm. And you can only go so far with your natural ability. You're going to reach a point where you're going to hit a ceiling. Mm-hmm. The only way to break through a ceiling, in my opinion, is through modeling and coaching. If you're okay where you are, that's fine. You don't need a coach. But if you want to get to a different place, you may want to
take the next level up if you have
That's
to.
right.
Okay.
You may want to hire a partner.
Well, how long do you traditionally do people stay with a life coach? Is it something that they do for 6 months, a year?
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. There are some coaches out there who offer their services on a per hour basis. Mm-hmm. I don't. I like a longer term commitment. I mean, ideally, I'd love to work with folks for a year. Mm-hmm. I have worked with coaches myself for that length of time in the past. I typically don't sign anybody up for less than 3 months. Mm-hmm. Because you need time together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To really get to know the person and what the real issues are. Absolutely. Not just what they think the issues are. Usually a couple of layers deep in there. That makes sense. When you're a life coach, is it confidential?
It is confidential. Yeah. Yeah, as far as legally, we don't march to the same rules, if you will, mm-hmm. As an attorney, as a clergyman. You know, they're privileged. Mm-hmm. We're not privileged in that way.
So we each have a way of doing God's work, and it sounds like you're doing God's work on a more one-on-one level of helping people get back on the right path. It's just beautiful. How can people know more about you and your organization, and how can they reach out to you and touch you?
My email address is cindy.bostick@bestyearyet.com, and my website is www.bestsupercoach.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us on Our Community.
Thank you. This was fun.
To ensure the health of themselves and their unborn baby.
Well, how does alcohol affect pregnancy?
Alcohol can cause birth defects, developmental disabilities, and other preventable health outcomes.
Can you give us some risk factors for alcohol and drug abuse? Can you give some risk factors that pop up?
If a child is born with what is called fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate that about 800 to 8,000 babies are born each year with this condition. And these children can go on later to have lower IQ, poor memory attention, hyperactivity, poor reasoning and judgment. They can have poor math and social skills in school. They can have poor vision and hearing. They can also have heart and kidney issues. All of these things are hard to detect, and usually you don't see them until the child's in school. All of this actually costs a lot of money, about $4 billion each year, to treat these kids with this condition. And the FASD, or fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, can happen to anyone, not just women who drink alcohol all the time. That's why there's no safe amount or safe time for a woman to drink while she's pregnant. Some women also drink, so you might ask yourself, what is the safe amount? And we talk about how if a woman drinks 7 drinks in 1 week, that is considered high amount of alcohol. Or if she wants to drink 3 drinks in 1 occasion, that is considered high. For a woman who's pregnant, again, there's no safe amount, so she should not drink at all.
Can you tell us more programs that your program offers?
Our program works with 3 public health nurses, 3 alcohol and drug counselors, and I help the health educator myself, and the public health nurse and the alcohol drug specialist who do home visiting programs. So they see the woman while she's pregnant, and they actually continue to see her until her baby is 1 year old, so we can see the adverse effects of what might happen because of the prenatal alcohol, smoking, and drug exposure.
Well, clearly your program focuses on teen mothers or mothers. Why is that?
We believe that early intervention is key, because if we can identify that woman who's substance using, we can help improve her health and health of her unborn baby. And we also believe that a lot of studies are starting to show that what happens to a woman while she's pregnant actually affects her baby. So what she eats, how she feels, what she thinks, and if she's up or down, that can affect her baby. And we believe that if we can identify that child in the first year of life, we can help them actually get better, and if they have any developmental delays, we can help with that. We can have the maximum impact during that first year of life.
This may sound like a silly question, but why are pregnant women advised not to do drugs, not alcohol?
Well, drugs can affect the pregnant woman and the baby, and can have adverse effects on the pregnancy, such as miscarriage, preterm birth, low birth weight, birth defects, fetal death even, and preterm delivery.
And what about cigarettes? I see a lot of data about women in cigarettes smoking.
Cigarettes are really bad for the mom and the baby, and a lot of people think that cigarette smoking is the least of the worries, but it is a drug, and it has other chemicals in it also, and it can cause the mom to have high blood pressure, can have a miscarriage also, preterm labor, heart problems. She can either have a stroke from smoking, and the baby is affected also. And as they say, that low birth rate is really high in smoking mothers, and it can be like 3 times greater than cocaine in predicting low birth weight in infants.
Well, does drinking during pregnancy cause fatal alcohol syndrome or other medical conditions?
Yes, alcohol is bad during the pregnancy, especially the first part of the pregnancy. Can have a lot of adverse effects on the baby, and some of them, the facial features can be abnormal, and that's when they have like the broad nose, and their philtrum is smooth, and they can have their eyes are usually small and wide apart. They might not have all these symptoms, but at least 2, and they have a small head. And it affects their brain and their central nervous system. The
overall development.
Right. Yes.
What are some of the other medical effects on the child or the mother if they take drugs or smoke? Any other kind of?
Well, mainly they can have preterm labor. They can have a miscarriage, preterm delivery, low birth weight, birth defects, and fetal death, and infant mortality also.
So why do some women use drugs while they're pregnant?
Some women become pregnant unexpectedly because they have not planned this pregnancy. And that's why these women are using drugs. Some of them are able to stop on their own, whereas others need help. And that's why it's very important for programs like ours for women to seek treatment programs, because we do not want these women using drugs while they're pregnant, because it affects their baby and the woman.
Well, does legal drugs, like prescriptions, does it affect the baby just as detrimentally as illegal drugs?
All drugs are harmful, and prescription drugs can have the same harmful effects as illegal drugs. It is extremely important that the mother use her doctor's orders or follow the directions of her physician when using prescription drugs.
So why is it so important for women who are using drugs to, when they find out they're pregnant, to basically just stop and look for treatment?
Well, women that look for treatments they have a better outcome. In that, entering into a drug program will help a woman stay off drugs. It will help her baby. It will also keep her out of the environment where the people that surrounds her, and she will be less likely to go back to using drugs once she's in that treatment program.
Well, let's just change the topic a little bit to alcohol. What happens if a lady's doctor tells her, well, it's okay to have a glass of wine once in a while? Is that something you would recommend as well?
We tell all pregnant women no amount of alcohol is safe. So we encourage all women that are pregnant not to use any alcohol at all.
I've heard some people state that I've used some drugs or alcohol and my baby turned out just fine. Do you hear that kind of comment from people?
We do hear that all the time. However, there are no guarantees. Just because her first baby or second baby was fine, there's no guarantee that this baby will be fine. That's why it's important that women follow their doctor's orders or get help for the treatments that they need.
I heard of one young lady who stated that she kept smoking during her pregnancy because she wanted to have a smaller baby so the pregnancy would be, the birth would be less painful. Have you heard stories like that?
We have. A small baby is not a good thing because the baby's lungs may not be developed. And women that use cigarettes or smoke, many of their babies are born and they have what they call SIDS. It's sudden infant death syndrome. Their babies are more likely to die than women that do not use smoking or drugs. So
what do you say to women who state that they want to smoke and or drink because it relaxes them and they're under a lot of stress right now?
Well, we have to recognize stress is real, but women need to look for a more positive outcome. And we encourage them to either call the public health nurse, they can call a friend, take a walk, go to the movies. Whatever the positive way of dealing with stress is extremely important.
There's some other social cost when a child is born, having some conditions like this. For example, there could be increased crime, I'm assuming. There could be bullying. There could be, going to jail, crime, a whole ball of wax. Medical costs could go up. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let's say a woman is using drugs or alcohol or smoking while she's pregnant. Sometimes she can have her baby early, like the nurse talked about before. Sometimes they end up in a neonatal intensive care unit, in a NICU, and that can sometimes cost about $5,000 a day and up to however much. And sometimes these children are in the neonatal intensive care unit for about maybe a week, maybe up to 2 months.
Wow.
So that can add up. And also, and those kids, when they get out, they might need more medical intervention down the road. And when the child grows up, when they start to go to school, they have a hard time, especially in preschool, they have a hard time maybe sitting down, paying attention. What happens, they get kicked out of school. And when those kids get kicked out of school, they sometimes, get into gangs and start getting into violent things.
Well, thank you for watching this week's show of Our Community, and I hope you come back again and join us.